Hey guys, welcome back. It is March the 28th. It is nice and hot out, and we have 4 to 5 nights in a row of 50 to 60 degree nights. Plus, the next 10 days is really nice as well. No cold weather in the forecast. So, all of those peppers, yep, it's finally time. They're leaving the garage. I'm going to start hardening them off, which is really easy for these guys because they are used to really cool temperatures, around 50 degrees in the garage. Sometimes just a little bit cooler, sometimes a little bit warmer. Very minimal sun, but they have no leaves. I keep those picked off throughout the winter, so they should do fine just getting acclimated really quickly. Probably in a week, I'll go ahead and put them in the ground. So let's get busy. All right, here they are out in the open air outside. I'm going to water them really well. I've already moved the lemon verbena onto my front porch steps. I'm going to trim it up, water it. It's already starting to leaf out. Put a picture right here. Some of these guys look a little rough, but some do still look alive. So we will see how they progress over the next week or so. Before we get started with the overwintered garage peppers, I also ran an experiment inside my kitchen in my bay window area with this planter that was full of cayenne plants that I rescued right before first frost in the fall. So let me take you back and explain. I have video and clips and pictures of that. So let's go figure out what is going on with this pot of cayenne pepper plants. As a spoiler though, you can see only 1 out of 3 survived. Very interesting experiment though. So let's delve into that now. Are my 2 cayenne pepper experiments. I kept these guys as an indoor house plant in my bay window in the kitchen, and they developed a severe outbreak of aphids and or white flies. There was so much honeydew sap coming off of the leaves from where the probably aphids were sucking the juice out of the plant. So I stuck this guy out here. Yesterday we got up to 65, so I thought, well, I'm going to pour some rainwater in that container all over them, get all that debris off, and clean up the pot. And then I left this guy out here all night. We got down to like 34, 35. He looks like he's still alive, but sometimes it takes a couple days to show any kind of damage. So I think what I'm going to do is cut off all the foliage, just leave some stems like I would for overwintering peppers, and stick this guy in the garage with my other peppers and see if he makes it. We shall see. But there's a second part to this experiment of bringing peppers indoors inside of the house as a houseplant type experiment, which I have had peppers as houseplants before, but they were more ornamental peppers. So we'll go inside to talk about that. And now we're in the kitchen at my bay window where that house plant, that planter of cayenne pepper plants is 2. You can see, well, I don't know if you can or not because the sun is coming in. Can you? This is tacky and sticky. That is kind of the outline, like the pot was right there. Over here is some of that sap. Well, I don't even know if you can see it, but let's see if I try to do a different angle. So I think the infestation actually kind of took care of itself. It doesn't appear to be any more of the aphids and or white flies. Now, here's the second part of the experiment. So when I brought those 2 pepper plants in right before first frost, I just stuck them in that pot. Didn't give them a lot of good care, honestly. There was a third plant, and this was the most important experiment part of bringing these cayenne. They were volunteer plants, so these were just volunteers. I had sprinkled cayenne seeds from dehydrating my peppers last winter. And guess what? A bunch of cayenne peppers started germinating in May. So before first frost, some of those plants I just dug up to bring inside. And one of them I stuck in water. I wanted to see. Now the roots don't look too healthy, but it is still alive. You can see the roots are kind of dark compared to the African blue basil. However, what I find extremely interesting is that this plant, who has only lived in water, just tap water that I do not change as often as I should, is still alive. So I don't know if this is enough research at this point or information for me to say, hey, maybe there's an easier way to overwinter my peppers. Would they do just as well in water to keep them barely alive until we can start hardening them off in the spring? I don't know. Now, I don't like that I have to keep this inside the house. He did also get a little bit of that aphid and or whitefly infestation. But since he's not in any soil, I was easily able just to go rinse him at the sink and get any bugs off of him. So I find this to be a very interesting development, that it is possible perhaps to overwinter peppers in water as a cutting. But this truly is not even a cutting. This is an actual plant that I ripped out of the ground that did have roots. Now this African blue basil is a cutting. So he did develop roots, as you can see. I have some smaller cuttings from the same variety of plant in a different container. But I don't know. I thought that was pretty darn interesting. And here is the planter full of 2 cayenne peppers back inside. This one on the left looks much worse than this guy on the right. This guy looked horrible before I stuck him out on the deck yesterday morning to get some rain and clean up from the honeydew debris from the infestation. I'm thinking, I don't know. Let me go get my pruners. This guy might actually just need to get pulled completely. We'll leave this guy. I am going to go ahead and put the cutting into this pot as well if I take this guy out. He still looks alive though in certain parts. So we're going to do a knife test. We're just going to cut somewhere on here and see what that stem looks like underneath. And so another reason why this is happening now instead of just waiting until close to time to get these guys hardened off is because, yes, it's time to start seeds right now. I need this window vacant so I can set up my seed starting situation. So I'm just going to use my cheapo Dollar Tree pruners that I bought the other day. We're going to cut, we'll start at the top and work our way down, see if the inside of the stem is hollow. Kind of thinking it might be hollow up here at the top. See if any of this is viable down in through here. Let's just cut right here and see what that looks like inside. Well, looks pretty good to me. Yeah, okay. So as long as these guys didn't get any extensive damage last night, accidentally being left out in 35 degrees, I think I'm going to have some cayenne pepper plants for spring. 3 total when I add that guy. And that's really all I need because I still have dehydrated cayenne from years ago, at least 2 to 3 years ago. So I'm hopeful that these guys will survive. I don't have to plant any cayenne peppers this year. Okay, so I just pruned both of these guys as if they were going to be an overwintering pepper plant. This is how I would prune them up in the fall to come inside. There's no leaves, no foliage, so hopefully no bugs will start attacking these guys. And yeah, they're in a tiny pot, very, very little soil. But remember, I'm not trying to grow something right now. I'm just trying to keep them alive until I can get them hardened off outside and planted outdoors. So I'm going to go ahead, since I say this experiment is completed with this pepper that I just stuck in water. I mean, he's been in there all of November, December, January, half February, just living in water that I'm very neglectful to change. I think that's pretty impressive. I'm going to go ahead and take all of his foliage off too. I'm going to stick him down in there with these guys and stick them both, well, all 3, this whole container, into my garage with my other overwintering pepper plants. All of the foliage is gone. These peppers, as far as I'm concerned right now, look pretty darn good. And There's 3 now. We're just going to stick this whole pot in the garage. You'll see it again come early spring. And here we are back to April 6th, and I have been keeping these guys outside and getting them acclimated. The weather's been pretty mild. You can see this one here. I think this is Sweet Summer Sunset. It's like a sweet, smaller fruited sweet pepper. And I think this is where I'm going to keep him. So I've been kind of just letting him get used to the sun here in this location. Here are the rest of the peppers. Some of them look really suspicious at this point. This one here, this is a gypsy pepper. It did start to flush out with some leaves as the week or week and a half has went by or so that it's been outdoors. I guess it's maybe 2 to 3 weeks at this point, maybe. I've been hardening them off. No, maybe a week. But I'm really worried about some of them. They don't look like they made it. And I did make a video a couple months ago. Well, this one has a little bit of green growth, so I have my fingers crossed on that one. But some of the peppers in my garage did not fare well. I made a video about that, I think about a month or 2 ago, if you're curious. Going down to 29, 30 degrees tonight, just one night. So I'm going to stick all of these guys back in the garage. Even though I think 4, maybe 5 of them didn't make it, still just going to give them the benefit of a doubt in case they start to flush back out like this guy did. A few days later, after the cool weather passed, I got to hardening off these guys again, getting them acclimated to the weather. But I am starting to become more and more suspicious of some of these pepper plants, that they are in fact not valid, not viable. Now 3 of them look great, 4 actually if you count the cayenne. That was that separate experiment that we talked about earlier. So I've got 4 plants at this point. I'm really sad though that we may have to give up on all of these other peppers over here. But you can see a total difference. The stem is very dark. So I take my pruners and I make a few little cut marks, and I'm looking to see if there's any green flesh underneath the cut mark. And I feel like maybe there is a little bit on this one. It was like kind of like a trick of the eye. What do you think? I think it kind of looks a little greenish to me. Now, some of the plants like this one look definitely more beige and brown tones. So those definitely are probably not going to make it. But at this point, I think I decide just to let them hang out, see what they do. They could surprise me, right? But my gut reaction is these plants are not viable. At this point, I'm ready to start putting these guys into the ground. So the first decision I made was to put the single cayenne pepper plant that made it into this one little pot right here. I had the bags of mulch kind of blocking the light to the garlic that's in there. You can see it looks horrific. And also it killed off a lot of my thyme. As you can see, the thyme on the right of the pot looks gorgeous. And then these 3 are the other 3 plants that made it. You can see they do have growth. They're flushing out with leaves. So we've got 2 gypsy peppers that made it through overwintering in the garage, and 1 the summer sunset, and then the 1 lonely little cayenne there. So let's go look at the plants that did not make it, and there they are. No change. You know, it's 2 to 3 weeks later after the last assessment when I did the cut marks on the stems. No change. They're toast. Thankfully, I did start a decent amount of peppers from seed this early year, and now I can plant them out. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a lot of information for me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.